I loved it that you took me to your favorite secret spearfishing holes and hog dogging locations and places where you're catching those hog snappers.
What about it, Reed?
Yo-yo and hogfish.
Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, isn't that neat? You just see it, you know, just more relaxed, got lined up perfect, and bam. It was so cool to watch him bullseye that fish. I could almost see the smile through his snorkel on the way up. Yeah. It was good.
All right, Reed. Good job, buddy.
Yeah! Come on, come on. Oh! He ate it! He ate it! He ate it! Nice, baby! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about! I thought you said you had to...
Got him, relax.
Oh! Dude, he just ripped my boat off! Oh! Awesome! Look at that big boy! Woo!
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
This one or
All right, we got everything we need. We got our dive gear. All right, what else do we need, boys? So we got a couple of those rods rigged up back there, Tom. That's kind of the little rig we've been using to catch the hogfish on rod and reel.
Cool.
And just putting some, kind of like a booger rig like the bonefish. And just setting it down there, no chum, just like booger fishing for bonefish.
I've caught them before, but accidentally. Never tried to catch them on purpose.
There's a couple of these spots where the hogfish are. Yeah, we're not allowed to spear. It's a no harvest zone. But up there, we've been finding these great lobster spots, these coral heads and things. And there's, we're catching all these lobster, and there's all these nice hogfish swimming around, but you're not allowed to spear them. So they're swimming right next to you, and it's kind of frustrating. And then my buddy Adam's like, hey, you ever hear of hog dogging? I'm like, what's hog dogging? And he's like, it's like snorkeling with a yo-yo, and you actually fish underwater and catch them. So the boys started to do that, and they thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
And then this year, we were out there one day, we're hearing all these great hogfish reports, and it was windy and the water was dirty. We figured, let's go just try to do what we did hog dogging with the rod and reel. And we went over there and dropped down a couple times, and next thing you know, boom, hogfish, and
wow.
Another hogfish. And
catch any big ones?
Pretty decent,
Big enough to eat.
Big enough to eat.
I'll tell you what, hogfish, that is absolutely my favorite fish to eat. No question about it. Good, let's go.
All right, boys, you ready to go? Yeah. Mr. Tom wants to see the hogfish that we've been talking about.
Yeah, man.
Let's go try to rod and reel a little bit before the sun gets up. Where do you think we'd have our best chance of rod and reel catching them?
lobster.
Lobster spots, yeah. Yeah.
I loved it that you took me to your favorite secret spearfishing holes and hog dogging locations and places where you're catching those hog snappers. That was a real treat. Here we are in the middle of what we call tarpon season. The fishing, is difficult, very intense. To take a day out of that and, go with the kids, get in the water, and actually fish for something like a hog snapper on purpose, not just a bycatch or anything else. That was really fun. And
Absolutely.
now you figured out 3 different ways to do it. And
the cool thing about that, and I wanted to show you, we started off the day, the weather was going to be great. And I had a feeling the calmer it is and the clearer the water, our spearfishing was going to be our best option. Right. But I wanted to try to show you all 3 ways. And plus just mixing it up with the kids and keeping the day interesting. So we ran to the first spot, which was in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
The sanctuary ends on the other side of Long Key Bridge, or begins. So we ran north, got into those areas. There was only a mile off the shore, really shallow areas, 8 feet, 10 feet deep, clear water, and you can see the little coral heads and other things that the fish can hide on. And the key to where we'd found more hogfish seemed to be where it was on the edge of some grass flats, where there was, there was grass and then there was some rock, as opposed to just being a big reef. We ran over there and we figured, hey, let's try to catch 1 or 2 on rod and reel. Of course, the kids wanted to jump in the water right away. Dad, can we jump in? Can we hog dog? Can we, And I just wanted to see if we could catch 1 or 2 on the rod and reel first, and so we did the broke the shrimp into pieces and dropped them out there, and it wasn't long before Reed catches one. Got him, Reed. What is it? Hogfish. Look at that. He's got a hogfish.
Right on.
Nice job, buddy.
Little one.
Yeah.
That's not a keeper though.
Very good.
Hold him right there.
Cool.
Nice job, bud.
Thanks. But you caught it.
How about that? Calling your shots, huh?
That's right. Call the shot. That's awesome. the hog snapper is just absolutely perfect for all the different ways that we caught them, with rod and reel being probably the most difficult, I think, to actually target them and catch them.
But the clearer the water is, the less likely they are to come near the boat,
Right.
and we have to kind of be stealthy. And these hog fishing spots where we've hog dogged them before, it brought another element. If the lobster wasn't good, if there was no lobster there, they could catch a hogfish, and just made for a fun day on the water. And it's sight fishing. You're seeing the fish,
Right.
you're lowering it down to them and catching them.
All right, boys, tell me how we hog dog. I've never done this before.
Easy.
Easy? Okay, I like easy. What do you do?
You have a yo-yo.
Yep.
Put it down in front of the fish, and then when they bite it, reel it up.
Easy. I love it.
So it's important to have a pretty decent lead. That way, when you see the hogfish on the bottom, you could just let it right down to them real fast. It's total sight fishing. But we're trying to find these areas that are not necessarily right up on the reef, where all the grunts and all the other little things are, but on the edge of the grass. And when you find the hogfish away from the other fish,
That's usually a good sign.
What's the biggest hogfish you guys have hog dogged?
Hog dogged?
Hog dogged.
I don't know. We've caught a lot of big ones.
A lot of big ones? Hog dogging to me sounds like fun. Hog dogging. Sounds awesome.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you in part by Hawks Cay, the only key you'll need. By Yellowfin, only in a Yellowfin. By Mercury Marine, #1 on the water. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Quantum Rods and Reels, fishing at a quantum level. And by Costa, Power Pole, and Key Largo.
There goes one. See anything? It was so cool to see, your kids, like, they're little fish, right? They're just in the water. That's what they want to do. I think they like that more than the rod and reel for sure. But that was really fun. First of all, there's probably nothing better for the kids than to actually get them in the water. They're getting a ton of exercise, getting lots of sunlight, vitamin D. You get those kids in the water, get them engaged. They're seeing everything. It's teaching them how to identify the fish from a long way away, maybe 20 feet away. They're looking down there, seeing the fish in the water. Oh, there's what I'm trying to catch. But I mean, your kids, they knew everything. Gosh, I see porkfish, I see mutton snappers, I see all these different fish. And it's the same way that my kids were raised, like with a fish book, like just going through the book and marking off, I've caught this one, I've seen this one's in the canal behind the house, and it just teaches them so much. It's like going to school. But actually getting them in the water, whether you're doing the hog dogging, which I thought was really cool. And what you call a yo-yo is just a spool that you hold in your hand, and it's a hand line fishing, right? People fish for all kinds of fish, big and small, and they can catch some really, really giant fish with a hand line. And there's all these places where you can't spearfish, and that's a legal way to catch these fish, and it's just fun.
got one? Tom? All right. Let me get you some fresh bait, Reed. Nice job, Tom!
First one.
Bring him over here. I'll measure him for you. Very cool.
That's half the battle, is just realizing, okay, well, that's a legal one. That one's too small. And the nice thing about the hog dogging or the rod and reel, you can get to measure them. They have to be 12 inches to be legal. Now that's to the fork, not the tip. And they have that tail that kind of goes like this. So if you measure the tip, that's easy.
Right.
But it's that fork area. And once you've got the size that you caught one and seen it underwater, now you can kind of judge, oh, too small, too big. And then eventually you see one that's big enough, and you're like, ooh, there he is.
Yeah. Reed.
Yo-yo and a hogfish.
Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, isn't that neat? Pretty unique, huh?
Is he gonna make it?
He's close. He's close.
A lot of parrotfish and a few muttons and a couple of groupers.
He's close. Cool. He's right there. I think we'll let that one go. He's borderline.
Okay.
Very cool.
Cool, I'll get it over.
Nice job, dude.
For the kids, you know, I just think that's a great deal. And I mean, you take snorkeling to the next level of like, okay, well, now I'm actually trying to do something where, you know, if you were in there snorkeling around, you might get tired of that in a, you know, maybe an hour or whatever. But if you're actually trying to catch something, man, you could keep their interest for many hours.
What's he got? Blue tang. Yeah.
Blue tank?
Did you see a lot of those down there, Reed?
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Can you eat them?
I don't know, maybe. Kind of cool looking fish.
The hog dogging wasn't the most effective there. You could see them. You saw how many illegal ones at that first spot.
And there were some, yeah, you know.
And you could have shot them with a spear gun if it was
Oh,
allowed.
definitely.
So that's kind of the benefit of that area, is you're not allowed to spear them. So a few more are going to grow up and replenish and get bigger. But after we did that a little bit, I wanted to say, hey, let's go run out to the spearfishing areas.
Water here, it's about 20 feet deep. A lot of grass. You can see we're right over the grass now, but there's a couple little spots where there's coral, like right here. See the coloration? It's not much, but there's life there, and seem to be quite a few hogfish and some grouper and stuff. Reed, you want to put that trolling motor down? And right now, so we're 3 miles offshore now, so we're allowed to spearfish in this area.
Finding an area where it's kind of like the oasis in the desert, you know, grass everywhere, and then there's like some sort of rocky ledge or cave or just coral head, anything there surrounded by the grass seems to hold the most hogfish and grouper and stuff. But as we jumped in this spot, it was cool. Right away, saw hogfish down there, multiple ones, some big ones, some little ones. It was a beautiful spot. There was all these pork fish, those real yellow-looking things, and then we got Austin in there, and he's very relaxed. That's what I've always heard from other freedivers. You know, the more relaxed you are, the longer you can stay down, and he kind of exemplifies that, where he just kind of just goes down real lazy and easy, and he stays down so much longer than I can, or where Reed's going too fast, and he just kind of floated down there, and there was a hogfish just sitting right there on the bottom. Just he swam right down to it, and it was just a perfect shot. Just boom, and he looked at me on the way up. He's just like, kind of, yeah, it was fun.
All right, awesome. Good shot. All right, Austin, good job, man. Good work.
Hogfish for dinner.
Hogfish for dinner. Look at that fella. Good shot, Austin. Got a spot for him right on the Yeti. All right, get another one. All right, boys, get a couple more. There's so many things out there on those little spots that you can see. It just keeps it exciting, all the time. I saw so many different things, big giant puffer fish, all kinds of crazy things, as well as big barracudas.
And there was a lot of lobsters down there. You could see them. They were just hiding under every ledge there. So in 2 months, when the lobster season opens up, we'll be back there. And the other thing that was kind of looked funny at first, I was like, what is that? It was 2 moray eels, and they were both, looked like almost a two-headed, serpent or something. They were right there together, and rarely ever seen that.
And then, of course, we have the lionfish out there, too.
Yeah.
The lionfish is a non-native fish without any predators here, so they want you to spear them.
Look at that. Crazy looking. Wow. After our first spot, the kids were wiped out. I mean, we went to that first spearfishing spot. We had hog dog, we had caught them rod and reel, and then they dove for about an hour and a half, at that first spot, just nonstop, going down 20 feet up, shooting. And when they got back on the boat, it was it was time for a power nap.
It was kind of funny. Perfect.
It was good, and they just chilled, and guess what? Time for you and I to go.
That's right.
Austin went on fish patrol duty. He'd wake up long enough to grab our hogfish when we came in, but that was fun. That was nice for us to both be able to go spearfishing together. It was cool. Something we'd never done. Mm-hmm. That second spot we went to, water clarity was even better. You know, just beautiful, clear water. You can see the hogs from a long ways away. And I kept saying, you know, let's look on the grass, you know, on the outside of that reef.
Right.
And kind of patrolled around until we found, ooh, this is an area, and there was multiple hogfish there in that one spot.
Yep. The first one that I saw, you know, I get all set up and I start making the descent, and just like a hogfish does, he's being very nice, and he just turns completely broadside like this. And I just took my time, took the safety off the gun, just like pulling the trigger on a shotgun or a pistol or anything else. It's just nice and easy. Just squeeze that trigger and you maintain the trajectory of that spear gun. And I gotta say, the first one that I got was dead center.
Yeah, I
eyeball.
saw that. That was good.
That's right where I was aiming too, which was pretty cool. I know you should probably aim a little bit back, but if I can hit them in the head, I like to try to, so you don't have a big hole in your fillet.
Yeah, man. There's your hogfish dinner.
The whole experience is awesome, you know, because you're out there, all of us are out there together, and you want to take somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience to a place where they're going to get lots of action, where it's not too hard, it's pretty easy, everybody's going to catch some fish, and then you can kind of build it up. And that's exactly what you have here with the spots that you have, is just deep enough to where it's still a little challenging.
Yep.
Not too deep to where you can't get it done or Reed can't get it done. And I just thought it was just perfect. Great way to spend the day.
So people ask me all the time, what kind of bait should I use in the Keys when I'm inshore fishing? I got one answer, and it's always the same: live shrimp. When in doubt, go with live shrimp. You can catch almost everything on the inshore side that swims, from a snapper off the dock or the bridges to a big tarpon to a permit, bonefish, redfish, snook. Almost everything that's on the inshore side will eat a live shrimp. One of the hard parts about live shrimp is keeping them alive. Not everybody has good shrimp, so you have to bounce around a few different marinas. Our friends at Fravel here just came up with a perfect shrimp bucket. This is the ultimate shrimp bucket. For years, I've always traveled, gone to different places, tried to keep the shrimp alive, little aerators, this and that, trying to keep them alive. Sometimes it's hard to keep them alive when you're transporting them in your truck or out in a small boat or anything like that. So this bucket, a couple cool things about it. One, it's insulated. There's actually a foam insulation there that you can take out if you don't want it, but that insulation will keep the shrimp cool. So if you put some cooler water in there, or even a little ice jug when you're transporting them, keeping that temperature cooler will keep them alive much longer. It's got a traditional bubbler built on to the side there. All it needs is just a little battery pack, and it's gonna make just enough bubbles to keep those shrimp aerated. You don't have to have a lot of bubbles to keep them alive, but you do need to have it constantly bubbling. The other thing that's really cool and unique, I've never seen this before, is they actually have built in a little mesh screen on the inside around that foam insulation, so that the shrimp can actually go hang on the walls there. One thing shrimp like to do is they like to hold on to something instead of having to swim in circles, and that'll keep them alive, let them relax and stay alive a lot longer. So this is a really cool little setup. I can regulate the temperature here by putting little ice jugs in there. I can put the shrimp bucket in the air conditioning overnight even, and this will keep them alive even for days in this bucket. Just change the water out maybe once every 6 to 8 hours, and you're in good shape. So awesome shrimp bucket. Live shrimp is your best for catching almost anything in the Keys.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you in part by Yeti, built for the wild. By Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. True Flies, life off the chart. Vicious, get vicious. Motor Guide, accuracy matters. And by the Florida Keys and Key West, Buff, Frabil, and Live Water Sports.
You want to see more Saltwater Experience? Go to saltwaterexperience.com for exclusive web content. We've got how-to videos, behind-the-scenes footage, and things you've never seen on TV. Go to saltwaterexperience.com now.
You know, I was telling Reed this morning is he's like, oh, I only got one legal one, Dad. You know, I only got one big hogfish. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. You know, it's not about numbers, it's about the experience.
Right.
And you know, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And what was cool about the experience with Reed was the first spot was a little deep for him.
Yeah.
He missed 3 or 4, fish down there. He was frustrated. He was tired, and we took a break. I said, all right, let's go back to the boat. Sure enough, he took a nap, probably about a 2-hour nap.
Yeah.
And then we were getting to that last spot where we, did really good, and you got some, and I said, do you want to go in before we go home? You want to try one more? And finally he woke up and he's like, yeah, Dad, I want to go. And you could see the life turn on. Whew, he had his energy back and got his mask and snorkel on. And so I went for one last patrol with him, seeing if we could get one. And sure enough, he sees one and goes down there, and he's lined up pretty good. And I thought it was a good shot, and he missed. But he had a different attitude this time. He didn't get upset. He got up and he's loaded the gun again. We looked around, said, we'll find a bigger one. Finally, he sees another nice one there. This spot was a little bit shallower. It's about 19 feet, which is really in his comfort zone. He made a great dive. I saw him, go all the way down. And I told him, just take your time. There's no rush. If you don't get the perfect shot, don't shoot. Come back up. Because that's the nice thing about these hogfish. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
If we don't shoot at them and miss them, they're just going to kind of mill around most of the time. And I was going to keep an eye on him. So he went down. He didn't get the shot he wanted. He came back up. And then he got his breath again, took his time, went down. He's more relaxed. You could just see it. He was just more relaxed, got lined up perfect, and bam. It was so cool to watch him bullseye that fish. I could almost see the smile through his snorkel on the way up. It was good.
All right, Reed. Good job, buddy. Look at that big guy. That one's definitely legal.
Oh, yeah. I
Look at him. Nice.
tried that.
Good job, Reed.
But it's too small.
That's a good one right there.